Now there's one other configuration which can become handy. Thus far we always observed the response, right? We observed the body or the full response, but in the end it was always connected to the response. Sometimes you're interested in the different events which are fired during such a HTTP request. Let's do this for the put request here. Here, I'll now also pass an object to set some options, and I'll actually observe events. Now, to show what we actually get back now, let's go back to our core header component where we do subscribe to this store recipes method. And there you see I still expect response of type response from the old HTTP service. Now it didn't throw an error before because what we got back still is part of the response, but now with events that's no longer true. Instead we get back a response which is of type HTTP event. So let's import HTTP event here from @Angular common HTTP, and this is a generic type. Now here I'll simply say object for now. So we can do that and then log the response here. So let's now save this and see if this works. Looks good. Let's now log in again and see what we actually print as an event now. If you go to recipes, click manage and save data, you see this is what we printed here. An object type 0 and then the actual full response with the body, okay, and so on. Now what does this cryptic output mean? The Angular HTTP client knows different types of events, and here we got two. Now the easier type is this one, type 4, as you can tell. This type here refers to which type of event it is. And remember, we listen to events. Type 4 is the normal response. Here we just got an object with type 0 in it and no additional information. Now this simply means that this is the HTTP send event type. And how do I know this? From the documentation I listed at the start. Now I can easily check this by checking if the type and the HTTP event has this type property under all circumstances. If that is equal to the HTTP event type, we will have to import that from @Angular common HTTP type, and then here we have the different events. For example, we got the send event. So if we see true as a first output in the console, then we know that the first event, which was sent, was this send event. Well, that's a nice rhyme here. But what this actually means is that we now can clearly see that once I click save data, we get true and then false because the second event is the response, as I told you earlier. Now, this is of course a very cryptic and difficult way of finding out which kind of event we have, right? Comparing this, you even have to know this type here, but you do know it now. Again, in the documentation I mentioned earlier, you would find all the events. Now, as you see, we have the send event here. We also get the user event, which we can never occur here. We get the response event though. We also get the download and the upload progress events, which are interesting when we're handling files, and the response header when we're just getting back response headers. Here I will check for the response event though. So if we now go back to the application, log in again, and then save data, we should first see false and then see true. And we do false and true. So these are the events we're getting back. Now with that, I'll switch this back to just printing the response here without any types and comment this import out here at the top because I don't need it anymore. Instead, what we can do now is we can go back to this put method and turn observe back to body as before, or to the full response, whatever you want. This is for the put request. We don't really use the response here. It is important to know, however, that you can listen to these events in cases where you want to do something once the request was sent and you're still waiting for the response. You now have a way of getting in this process and actually doing something whilst the request and response are on their way.